Hello everyone, you're very welcome back. This is session 4 about managing anxiety. We hope that the sessions so far have been useful for you. This day's session is about following on from last week. We talked about using some wellness tools to manage anxiety momentarily in those difficult times. We give a few examples of our own, kind of things that ground us and keep us focused. We have done a wellness wall. We do this kind of work through the college. Some of you may already be used to it and actually very familiar with it. But some of the ideas around wellness tools on this wellness wall are much more broader. Our previous focus was on wellness tools using for momentary anxiety in terms of grounding, breathing. We've done a breathing exercise. But the wall demonstrates a whole range of other wellness tools that we can use in order to maintain wellness and to stay as well as possible. Just a wee reminder, wellness tools are the things that you do use to keep yourself well every day, and they're the things that you can use when you're feeling challenged.
And I think at the moment it's really important to think about what works for you in your circumstances where you're at. And sometimes it's just getting back to basics. We need to be thinking about our sleep hygiene, exposure to screens and things when we're going to bed at night, food, are you getting regular nutrition, keeping blood sugars stable. We spoke about exercise last time, even rest. I've noticed a lot of people are really, really tired at the moment, and it's just going with your body and balancing the kind of rest and exercise or movement with whatever you've got. So it is thinking about those very basics in place. And then also, a lot of you are probably doing what we call wellness tools anyway. It's just about thinking about what are the things that you usually use in your life that keep you well. And it's just about bringing that awareness to yourself. There are things on here we've got like gardening, cooking, cleaning. I know some may say terrible. Me, if life is out of order, I like my home environment very orderly, and I think at the moment cleanliness, we're maybe all looking at that. Faith, spirituality and rituals around that. It can be challenging for people with churches closed, so it's about looking at what is being offered online, how do you connect that way. Safe spaces, that can be challenging depending what your situation is in your environment that you're living in, but it's even like things like, for me, something very simple is I would say to my husband about I just need 20 minutes in the room, and I've actually got this eye mask that covers my ears and keeps things quiet. And even just 15 minutes when I'm feeling a bit stressed can just help to diffuse a situation. So it's thinking about maybe a quiet space, you can have a cup of tea. It's working with what you've got, and this is very individual. What's going to work for me and what's going to work for you are different things, so it's going with what works for you at the moment.
Yeah, and on that, like Lisa says, wellness tools are very individual, and the difference with being, as Lisa referred to, you'll be doing much of this stuff anyway. It's in times of challenges that some of the very simple stuff we forget about. So it's about bringing intentionality into the equation, and that's what I've noticed when I've been doing this work around wellness tools, is that it's the intention behind what you're doing something that makes you feel better. You've got it's a more highlighted focus on it. And one of the things that's really important to me in my life anyway is podcasts and TED Talks, audiobooks, things that I can listen to. And the reason that they're more important now than they ever were before is because my mind is racing a wee bit, going away off into other places, creating all sorts of stories and dramas. So listening to the TED Talks and the stuff that I'm interested in on YouTube is really, really good. Brings me back into the moment. I'm listening to stuff that's very positive and very forward thinking. Some of the stuff's very useful, and that helps to both distract me and focus me instead of getting carried away with some of the stories that go on in our heads.
But I think, sorry to interrupt there, but I think it's important to recognise that for those of us who have mental health challenges or have had mental health challenges, sometimes some of these things, just the very basics of getting up in the morning and going through, and suddenly the pressure's on, can seem that much more difficult. And it really is about breaking it down into manageable. I think it's like that for everybody. But I think it's important to recognise that sometimes those things that are going on for you could be exacerbated in the current situation. It really is just doing the small things, to-do lists, making you feel more in control, getting up, getting dressed, personal care and hygiene is really important. And identifying when there's stresses, certain stresses, and we spoke about in one of our videos, is actually getting information. Where do you maybe need to get information from? Because sometimes just that knowledge and knowing what's going on, especially in times when things are so uncertain, that in and of itself, what access do I have to services? Where can I go? What is out there? Where is reliable information? Just picking up the phone and asking somebody about that. So is there anything you want to add before we finish off?
No, that's it, Lisa.
Okay,